Mr. Prime Minister, nice to see you, sir.
Good to see you again.
And welcome to the United States, as I always say to you when we meet like this.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here and to be able to talk to you in Farsi, in English, or in any other understandable language.
Speaking of Farsi, you spoke yesterday at the UN General Assembly, and you showed a poster of where you say that the Iranians are hiding some nuclear records or debris. You tell me what it is. But there's been a reaction inside Tehran.
Well, a few months ago we uncovered the secret archive, secret atomic archive, in which the Iranian regime was storing the records of its secret nuclear weapons program. And we showed it. We went into Tehran, took it out, and had 100,000 documents. And I showed a summary of those documents. Yesterday in the UN, I uncovered the fact that we have another secret facility. It's a secret atomic warehouse. What they've stored there is equipment from their nuclear program, materials from their nuclear program, some more archival material from their nuclear program. And we know that last month they removed from that site 15 kilograms of radioactive material and just put it out in Tehran. So why are they hiding this? Why are they not showing the world and the International Atomic Energy Agency the stuff that they're hiding? Because they want to continue on that program secretly, against all their commitments and against all the promises they made in the Iran nuclear deal. And I think that's been exposed.
Yeah, when you spoke, you talked about the fact that that the Israelis say there are two discoveries, and this was the second one, the warehouse we're talking about now, and that the IAEA has not gone in and inspected to see whether or not, in fact, it is as you say. Have you asked the IAEA to go in there and look at and do some inspection?
Yes, we did.
And what's the response?
Well, it was 6 weeks ago, and so far there's not been any response. I hope they'll act now. And I'm sure the Iranian regime will do everything in its power to lead them astray, not to take them right into the place. They should let them come there, take their Geiger counters and their inspectors, and just inspect, all around 200, 300 meters. Check it out.
Well, the Iranians say that it's already been inspected 12 times. They've had 12 inspections, maybe not this particular warehouse. Do you agree that they've passed 12 inspections?
In that warehouse? No.
Not in that warehouse, but just generally, the IAEA is going in?
But Iran's a huge country. It's half the size. It's almost the size of Europe. What does it mean to have 12 little probes in Europe? Okay. Suppose I said, I'll give you 24 probes anywhere you want in the United States. America's a big country. You can hide things. You need to be able to probe that site, that place, the location where we have the intelligence that they're hiding things. And they should do it immediately, because remember what they said about the inspections in the Iran deal? It was, we'll have inspections anytime, anywhere. Okay, how about right there, right now?
Well, the IAEA certainly has the ability to go in there, or at least it claims to.
Well, then...
And then they should.
They should, yeah.
All right, 3 years ago...
I think they want to do the right thing, and I said yesterday, well, do it.
3 years ago, you said that the Iran deal was a bad idea. The United States has now, President Trump has now pulled out of the deal. In your words yesterday, you called European nations or leaders appeasers, which is a very strong term. Why do you say they're appeasers?
Well, how else can I call this? A few weeks ago, Iran tried to murder, Iranian diplomats in Europe planned to murder Iranian citizens on the soil of Europe. And that same week, the European leaders, pull out. They were caught red-handed. They were caught red-handed through information that we gave to the European authorities. That same week, the Iranian leaders roll out the red carpet for Rouhani, the president of Iran. So at the same week as diplomats so-called diplomats try to kill innocent people on European soil, and European leaders roll out the red carpet for Iran's president. What should I call it?
What is
accommodation? Find me a word.
Well, you use coddling too. You said they coddled them.
Yeah, coddling, but I call it like it is. It's appeasement.
What?
And look at the contrast, because a couple of weeks before, the Iranian agents were caught plotting to do exactly this in the United States. America is confronting Iran. America is putting sanctions on Iran. And European leaders are meeting with Iran and trying to figure out ways to bypass the sanctions. It's I hate to say this, but it's appeasement.
What motivates Europe to do that? Is it money and the business deals, or why would Europe at least not want to put Iran's feet to the fire, so to speak, and even encourage the IAEA to go in and check?
Look, maybe they still cling to the idea that this deal pushes war away. In fact, it's brought war closer, because the lifting of sanctions from Iran, which was what the Iran deal did, gave Iran a vast fortune, a lot of money. They didn't use the money to better the lives of the citizens of Iran, the people of Iran. They didn't do it to build hospitals. They didn't use it to build schools, take care of the severe water shortage they have there. They didn't take care of their people. They took $50 billion and put it in an aggressive empire in which they're trying to conquer the Middle East, kill anyone who disagrees with them, and seek their campaign to destroy Israel. That's what the money is. And so the European leaders maybe haven't figured out what the people of Iran have figured out, that this is an aggressive, destructive regime that oppresses them, the people of Iran, and seeks to subjugate everyone else in the Middle East, and ultimately is the foremost terrorist power in the world. The Europeans still cling to a version of what they'd like Iran to be rather than what Iran is. And they have to wake up and recognize this is the most aggressive terrorist power on earth. The last thing they should have is a relief and sanctions and the ability to advance their empire of aggression and their nuclear weapons program.
What's the impact of the sanctions, since the United States is reimposing the sanctions and President Trump is going to reimpose more in November? What's the real impact inside Iran?
It's quite extensive. I mean, you're seeing very interesting things develop there. You're seeing women demonstrate. They bare their hair. You see truck drivers on strike. You see bazaar merchants on strike. And you see this happening throughout Iran. You see it happen in the hinterland, and not only in a focus place in the cities. It's actually starting from the outside and working its way in. I think there's a general revulsion of the people. They understand this regime is possessed by a crazy ideology, exporting the Islamic revolution, as they call it. And they say, hey, enough. Leave Syria. Leave Lebanon. Leave Gaza. Come back and work for us, for the Iranian people. And it's a very healthy approach and a very brave one. I talk to the Iranian people. I put out these videos every few weeks about this, about the water problem or about other things. And I express our desire to reconstruct a relationship of friendship and amity that has existed between the Persian and Jewish peoples for many, many millennia. I get responses. So when I got the first responses after I did the first video, I was absolutely amazed, because the people who were responding were Iranians embracing Israel, the Prime Minister of Israel, with their own names. So I said, okay, they must be living in the Iranian communities in Los Angeles or in London or Paris. I said, no, these are people from Iran. And I called our intelligence people and I said, hey, what's going on here? They're risking their own lives. What's happening in Iran? And a few weeks later, the demos, these protests began. I'm not saying they began because of my videos, but that was a leading indicator that these people have had enough. They've had enough of Iran's terrorist regime. They've had enough of this, this terrible propaganda and oppression. They want freedom and they want a good life.
All right, one quick question. Leaders are watching you yesterday. Everyone inside the UNGA listened to your speech. This show airs inside Iran, reaches the Iranian people. What's sort of the single message you want them to take away from your speech yesterday?
We admire you, we appreciate you, and we believe a day will come when you will be free of this tyrannical regime, and the inherent sympathy and friendship between us will flourish as never before.
Mr. Prime Minister, always nice to see you. Nice to see you, sir.
Thank you. It's good to see you, Greta.
Nice to see you.